I could look at that man, then I could see how he didn't take care of his health, and then less than 15, 16 years later, developed lung cancer, and we found out about it in June. By September, he was gone. So I can put that painful picture in my head of my father, whom I love dearly, rahimahullah. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay, now right before the break, we talked about the differences in musts and shoulds. Now, here's a very interesting concept. If something must be done, we know that there's really no excuse for it. It must be done. We have to do it. If there's a should, well, you know, it should be done, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. These two different words, these two different concepts make things very, very challenging to people who are not committed. For example, I have a friend of mine, love him to death, very good brother. Well, with his health, he's not in good health. He's overweight, tired, stuff like that, has a lot of stuff to do, takes care of his family and rips and runs a lot. But living in America, you know, the fattest planet on the earth, even though they have 24-hour gym facilities, and we all have 24 hours in a day, that's where we are all equal no matter what. Okay? But there are different excuses. The guy says, listen, you know I should do this. I should be doing that. Maybe I'll get to it after Ramadan, or, you know, inshallah, when this new year starts. And so there's a lot of different shoulds and excuses. The first thing I'm going to let you know, as an outstanding Muslim parent, you have to stop shoulding all over yourself. You must stop that. I should do this, should do that, should do this, should do that. You must stop shoulding all over yourself. Because when you do that, you give yourself excuses. You give yourself excuses, guess who sees that as that celebrity? Yeah, our children. They see that, yeah, we should do, but we don't do. Now, the same type of concept exists in Islam. We know that we have fard that must be done, or there's a penalty attached. You know, it's wajib. Then you have mandub or mustahab. All right, that's recommended. You get extra barakah for it. So this is kind of the same idea between a must and a should. You have an individual that says, hey, listen, I must lose this weight, or I'm going to have a serious situation according to my doctor when it comes to my heart. That person is more motivated. Okay, now they're motivated by pain. Notice that. You be motivated by pain or pleasure, but they're motivated by the pain. They want to move away from a bad heart condition. Therefore, they want to do something and must do something different. As opposed to the individual that says, you know, I don't know, I've had this weight on so long, but, you know I should be doing this, and I'll try. You know, I'll start a new diet, and they start and they stop, or they up and down, they yo-yo. Well, what this has to do with our children, we do the same thing. We cannot motivate anyone. What we can do is try to help them find their inspiration. All right? Or we can help them try to find their motivation. All we can do is really inspire. So if I'm going to speak with you about losing weight, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself those questions. You know, why do you want to do it? And why, until it gets down to the core. And I want to know if that core is something that is emotionally strong inside you. If that is really peaceful, the examples that I came up with when I said, you know, to be with my family and take care of them and have more fun and have a peaceful home. Is that really something that I value? Is that something that I value immensely, where it's going to cause me to go ahead and make sure I get to the gym, drink more water, lessen up on the simple carbs and stuff like that? Because if it is, well, alhamdulillah. Now I know I'm moving in the direction of my goal or desired outcome, but more importantly, that's my motivation. That will keep me consistent. It's not just a wish. And we talk about wishes because they don't change anything. But it's that decision. Once you make the decision, that's where change occurs. Once you make that decision, that's where change occurs. And the crazy thing is that when you don't make that decision, when you have indecision, that's what prevents change from occurring. All right? So think about that. How can we inspire our children to be motivated about something? Well, not necessarily that difficult. We do it at a very early age. Sometimes people call it bribes. If the child is crying, you're somewhere, you want them to be quiet, then we give them a sucker or a lollipop, give them a popsicle, or they continue to ask for something and we're tired of them asking. So what we do is, you know, distract them. We give them a toy, or we tell them, hey, what's wrong? Or a child may just want some attention. Oh, I hurt my elbow, and they come in crying. And you say, oh, we kiss it, make it better. They want some attention. They want their recognition. Well, we have to ask questions. We have to ask questions of our children to find out what their values are, especially as they get preteen and teenage. Because most of us develop likings for things not knowing why. For example, in the United States, for years, they had commercials that really promoted cigarettes. Lots of different types of smoking, cigarettes and stuff like that, continually, until it was banned like in the 70s or something like that. As you know, just known poison, right? Well, people, women in particular, were marketed to with specific types of feminine cigarettes with these filters that are supposed to be less dangerous. Now, of course, you know, billions of dollars later, and lots of lawsuits and lots of death has proved that to be wrong. However, they developed a liking for it, not on their own accord, but because someone else planted that seed inside them. Someone else planted the seed of what's cool, what's nice. Okay? So we have to go ahead and do the same thing at home. We have to use our celebrity status, that role model status, to show what's cool, what's real, what's not, to expose the easy and simple tricks of shaitan. All right, that takes discipline on our parts, because, you know, it's hard to follow someone that tells you to do something, but they don't do it. All right, isn't that really the definition of hypocrisy? To say you're going to do something but don't do it? Let's not go there. So here's the challenge. We may want to change the behavior. We want to change some belief, if you will. How can we do it? Well, to stay strong, when you find your motivation, what that core is, I really want a peaceful home. In this example, when it comes to my health, I really want a peaceful home. I want to be able to play with my family, have energy and vitality and so on, right? Well, how can I make not doing these new actions that I just mentioned? Now, mind you, that was the first step. I asked questions like, what can I do to start moving in the direction of that goal today? And I put down, drink more water, start a workout program, get a nutrition guide, eat less sugar, lessen up on the simple carbs, walk more, find others with the same goal, right? Now, the next question would be, how can I stay inspired and motivated to achieve that goal? How can I do that? Well, it's relatively simple. One, I need to write out and see a vision of exactly what I want. I want to see where I'm going. But more importantly, since we're more likely to try to avoid pain, how can I make not moving in the direction of my goal so painful that I'll be motivated to do it? So how can I make it that bad? Well, in my mind, I would think about the situation. I would think about my father, rahimahullah. He accepted Islam after I had accepted Islam, and that was a great blessing. He passed a few years ago. Well, he didn't take care of his health. At about 16, he started smoking cigarettes. He passed when he was 47 years old. So it wasn't the one cigarette, the first one that he smoked, that necessarily deteriorated the quality of his life. But tens of thousands over years, I'm just saying, right? But what I can do is look at how when he was young and vibrant and in his teens and 20s and 30s and he was strong, I could look at that man, then I could see how he didn't take care of his health, and then less than 15, 16 years later, developed lung cancer, and we found out about it in June. By September, he was gone. So I can put that painful picture in my head of my father, whom I love dearly, rahimahullah. And I can picture that pain of not taking care of yourself. And I don't want to be that person. I want to have a higher quality of life. We know that when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Qadar of Allah is qadar of Allah. But the quality of life that the body that Allah Ta'ala has given me, has lent me for this short time I'm here on the planet that my soul is residing in, that does not even belong to me. If I want to have a better quality of life, then I should follow what Allah Ta'ala has let us know. I should follow what the Prophet ﷺ advises us of, health and spare time, to take advantage of it before it's gone. So, how can I make that painful? I can think about my father and his situation. I can think about it often. And by doing so, that's painful. Seeing where I want to go, that's pleasure. Then I'm more likely to achieve my desired outcome than I am if it's just a should. Because nobody's holding me accountable. Yeah, I know I should do this. It's this last 20 pounds and, any excuse will do. Remember, you only have to convince yourself that your excuse is good enough. You don't have to convince anyone else. Because if you convince yourself, that's it. There's a saying saying, if you believe you can do it, or if you believe you cannot do it, you're right. Because if you believe you cannot, then you won't. If you believe you can, then you will move in that direction and likely achieve it. Well, our responsibility. If we want to raise outstanding children, we want to raise children that have good motivation and going in the right direction, we have to ask these questions, not only to ourselves and what we're doing, but also to our children. If they're very, very young, no problem. We can implant those seeds of what's good, tell them why it's good, praise them and reward them. Because again, we respond to reward, we respond to love. We have to understand how Allah Ta'ala had revealed the Quran. We know that the Meccan surahs were dealing with Tawheed. We know that Allah Ta'ala was telling us about Jannah and Jahannam. He was telling us about the Akhirah. He was telling us about worshiping Him alone and not having partners or associates. Alhamdulillah. The Prophet ﷺ, his demeanor was kind. He wasn't harsh to his companions. He was kind. He was loving. He was welcoming. Even in situations where today I know we would respond differently, myself included. If a person came in the masjid and they started urinating in the masjid, I would be pretty upset, similar to how some of the companions were, right? They wanted to take care of him on the spot. However, the wisdom of the Prophet ﷺ, the wisdom of the entire situation, he was patient. He dealt with it in the proper fashion, and that is how we attract. That is how we as Muslims must also be with our da'wah, and our character, and our Islamic adab. So in doing so, we are gentle with our children. Many times, we're very, very harsh with our children and gentle with strangers that we don't even know. We don't want to be on that. We want to have our charity, our sadaqah to start at home. That just makes common sense. So the thing is this. We can only dig so far by ourselves. We can only go so far before we have a breakthrough. So what are we doing to cement ourselves in the inspiration of the things that we want to achieve? How can we find our motivation? And by finding our motivation, we know what to model as a celebrity for our children. This is one of the main distinctions between someone that's outstanding and others that are average. Average, they just take a crap shoot. It's just a quick little crap shoot. Well, maybe this will work, maybe that'll work. They'll find it out, inshallah. And use inshallah as maybe. We'll talk in the future why that is not productive at all. But alhamdulillah, inshallah ta'ala, you can use the tools that you received today on this episode. And also make sure you go to outstandingmuslimparents.com/discipline for the questions in the worksheets that we have for you. On every episode, we're going to have some great stuff for you to interact and to engage with you to help empower you to become more outstanding in your parenting. I'm Nazir bin Nasib, signing off with Huda TV. Jazakumullahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, peace. I'm Coach Nazir.
And I'm Coach Fatima.
And I'm Coach Nyla.
And we are the founders of Outstanding Muslim Parents. I want to introduce you to something that you may be interested in because you seem like a proactive parent already just by the video we interrupted. All right. And that's called the OMP Inner Circle. That's where we all train deep dive into parenting. So whether that's the first stage of children up to 7 years old or 8 to preteen in the second stage, or of course the teenagers and young adults in the third stage, we deep dive with the 3 C's as well as the 3 E's. So what our members get every single month, all of our students, they get brand new training every single week. That includes downloadable audios, downloadable worksheets, so you can deep dive into it. And of course, you have our personal email addresses as well. However, every single month, we have a live Q&A for all of our students. So we go to answer the questions or deal with different challenges and things that they may be dealing with parenting, because we know it's an ongoing struggle. Just us, here being parents of 12 children.
Right.
Okay. So with that being said, I want to congratulate you on being proactive.
And make sure you click the link below in the description and we'll let you get back to the video. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace.
Peace.